welcome back to Classic Scotch Gaming. This is Dylan. E3 is finally done. We've had a time to sit down, watch all the trailers, watch the gameplay demos, have a drink, relax, switch to coffee, and now we can sit down and think about the games. And we can pick our top picks for E3 2018. All of my picks are taken with mountainous piles of salt because with a cinematic trailer, scripted gameplay sequences, you can only tell so much about if the game is actually going to be good. So, without further ado, let's get rolling. My top pick was always going to be Kingdom Hearts 3. If it was there, if it was announced, it was going to be Kingdom Hearts 3. Without a doubt. You're probably sick of me saying Kingdom Hearts 3 at this point. As the game industry grows and evolves and technology improves, games get bigger and more ambitious. Two games stood out for me as the most big and ambitious games of the entire conference. Bethesda's Fallout 76, which promised to be 4 times the size of Fallout 4, had no NPCs and only players to interact with, and you only interacting with small groups instead of hundreds or thousands. Bethesda's going to have to do a lot of work to make this world seem full and interesting and not just empty and sparsely populated with other people. It's still gotta have stuff to do. On the other vein, BioWare's Anthem is gonna somehow try to marry the single player narrative focus, you are in charge of the story, with multiple people taking part in the same mission, in addition to the world changing through various plot MacGuffins. If I only had to pick one, I'd go with Anthem because I want to fly around in an Iron Man suit. Two separate samurai games are shown, Sekiro Shadows Die Twice and Ghost of Tsushima. Sekiro Shadows Die Twice looks a lot like the old Onimusha games, much more fantastical, with you having a robot arm with an axe in it somehow, a grapple hook, and you swinging around fighting big demon lads. Ghost of Tsushima looks much more traditional and realistic in terms of samurai combat and invokes the feeling of old samurai films like 13 Assassins and Yojimbo. Because of the references to those old films, I have to pick Ghost of Tsushima if I only had to play one. While there wasn't a huge rise of pirate games, I'm always a huge fan of pirate fiction and love to play them. And I love the ship combat in Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag, so the fact that Skull and Bones looks entirely like the ship combat from Assassin's Creed 4 looks really interesting. But Ubisoft has to do something because if it's only ship combat, I don't think that's enough to carry the whole game. Still interested in seeing what it turns out, and do want to play it. Most of the games announced were coming out at ambiguous times in the future, sometime in 2019, or with a date in 2019, February being the most common. Some games that were announced to come out in 2018, however, were ones we were keeping our eye on, as we'd much rather play a game sooner rather than later. Top picks for me include Spyro, the Reignited Trilogy, coming out in September, because I love Spyro the Dragon, it was one of my favorite games on PS1, and Just Cause 4, because causing ridiculous explosive mayhem is exciting, and with their new weather engine, I want to sit back on the hill and watch the tornado go through it, ruin someone's day like some Bond villain. I can't pick just one, so we're going to play both. As shown in a previous video, the Xbox has an interesting line of exclusives coming up, all of which look entertaining in their own right, or at least interesting enough to keep our eye on. Since I have to go out and buy an Xbox, if I only had to play one game for that, or the game I'd buy with it, I'd look for Crackdown 3 because there's a gun that shoots a barrage of exploding ducks. Combine that with that gun from Painkiller that shoots shuriken and lightning, and you have the two most awesome things ever conceived by man. I didn't go into E3 with big opinions about any games that were shown or might be shown, but there was one game that changed my opinion from the start of the trailer to the end. The Awesome Adventures of Captain Spirit started off with you playing as a 10-year-old boy, doing 10-year-old boy things, and having been a 10-year-old boy and having done 10-year-old boy things, it didn't particularly grab my attention. Then I realized it was made with the same engine as Life is Strange. It was set in the Life is Strange 2 universe. It was in the same timeline. It was closely related geographically to the events of the first Life is Strange, and there'd be clues to Life is Strange 2 hidden within the game. Then they said it would be out for free on June 26th, and I went from not really caring to, holy shit, I'm playing this game the instant it comes out. But Dylan, I hear you ask, you didn't even cover Nintendo in any of your videos. How can you put them in this list of picks? Well, I didn't cover Nintendo because I culled most of the Nintendo conference, save for a few different games or a few of the ports they announced. Nintendo's not really something that needs coverage. It does it all on its own. They released Pokemon, Smash Brothers, and Fire Emblem. Everyone knew that was going to happen. I am kind of intrigued about that cool Pokeball attachment to the Pokemon game which comes with the Mew, and the fact that you can get an Eevee riding around on your shoulder in one of the versions. Answer me this though, Nintendo. If I evolve that Eevee, will that version ride around on my shoulder? Because I'd much rather have an Umbreon on my back than a regular old Eevee. So those were our top picks of games that we're interested in and want to play from E3 2018. There were lots of games we didn't cover. So what are your top picks? What games do you want to play? What games look boring to you? Leave those in the comments below, and like and subscribe if you enjoyed this and for more from Glasses Scotch Gaming.